Hi guys, I'm here with your first lesson for you. We are looking at, all of our lessons that we're going to be looking at moving forward for the rest of the school year is all about radicals and what we can do with them, how we can simplify. We'll get into adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, but that's what we're going to kind of focus our lessons on to finish out the school year. First thing is just simplifying. So today's lesson is just about simplifying radicals, and we'll go through step by step so you can see how to do this. So the first thing says if b squared equals a, then b must be the square root of a. Right? So if 3 squared equals 9, then the square root of 9 is 3. So keep in mind what a square root means. It means a number times itself gives you that. So like 10 times 10 is 100, so the square root of 100 is 10. Right? 7 times 7 is 49, so the square root of 49 is 7. The symbol used to denote a square root is called a radical. So you will more likely hear me say radical something. And that's your square root sign. So it's like a little check mark with a line. Okay, so that is your radical or your square root sign. An expression containing a square root is simplified when all perfect square factors have been removed. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is the easiest possible way that we can kind of set up to do these. Okay, so you guys can learn how to simplify. All right, so I kind of set this up for you with steps to simplify your square roots. So I'll kind of take you through this example, explain it, and then we'll try some on our own together. All right, so you'll create a factor tree to find all the factors of the number. So if I look at 24, you're just going to break it down. So what do you multiply to get 24? Well, 2 times 12 is 24. Now again, there's other options, and we can look at that in just a moment, but there's different ways you could attack it. So if I go 2 and 12, 2 is a prime number, meaning nothing else multiplies to make 2 other than 1 in itself. So I would highly recommend that you circle your prime numbers, the numbers that don't break down any further. All right, and then the 12, we can break that down. We went 2 and 6, so again, 2 is prime. And then 6 breaks down to 2 and 3. So you want to kind of break down your numbers as far as you can until all you have left are prime numbers. Now, looking at all the numbers I circled, now this is a book example. I do mine slightly different, but I can still show you. They went ahead and kind of listed all of their numbers in order, which is great because what we are looking for are pairs. The reason being, right here they have 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is actually 4. And what's the square root of 4? It's 2. So you're pulling out those perfect squares. 2 times 3 is 6. I can't take the square root of 6, so that's what stays underneath. That's why we have 2 and then radical 6. So there's a very mathematical reasoning for it, right? You can see you made perfect squares. 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2, right? We can kind of work those through. The way I like to think about it is you're looking for pairs. So I think about it as you're going on a date. Okay, remember I like goofy ways to remember things. So if the two of you go on a date, then you are one couple. So the one of you comes out. Because the square root of 4 is 2, that's why we do it. But think about I had 2 of them, so every pair that you have, 1 comes out. All right, any leftovers, right? If you're on a date, you go out to dinner, you have leftovers. Where do you put the leftovers when you get home? Well, you put them in the fridge, right? So leftovers, that 2 and 3 that didn't have a pair, didn't have a date, leftovers go in the fridge or underneath inside that radical. All right, so you'll hear me reference that a lot. Now, the question always comes up, well, instead of going 2 and 12, what if I had done like 3 and 8? What happens then? Well, 3 is prime. 8 I can break down to 2 and 4. 2 is prime. 4 I can break down, that's 2 and 2. Take a look at what I have. I have a pair of 2s that would come out as a single 2, right? The couple together, the pair comes out as 1, because 2 and 2 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. That's why mathematically. And then leftovers, I have a leftover 3 and a leftover 2. 3 times 2 is 6. You get the same thing. So it doesn't matter how you break something down, you'll still end up with the same list of prime numbers that you circled, okay? All right, let's try some more together so we can get a hang of how this works. So square root of 32, again, I always check right away, is it perfect? And square root of 32 is not perfect, meaning if you grab your calculator and type in the square root of 32, do you get a nice pretty answer? And no, you do not. Okay, so we will do our factor tree. We don't ever want to give a decimal for an answer, so don't think you're just going to type those in and get an answer. We want to do our factor trees. So I'm going to go 2 and 16. 2 is prime. 16, I'm going to go 2 and 8. That is a terrible 8, sorry. Writing with a stylus is not easy. Oh my goodness, that's a 2. The 8 would be 2 and 4. And then the 4, that's going to give me 2 times 2. So once you've broken all the numbers down to all prime numbers, then we look for pairs, right? The two of you together make a date, right? One couple. So I have a pair of 2s. I always cross mine off. That comes outside. I see another pair of 2s. That comes outside. And I have a leftover. This little guy right here did not have a pair. Leftovers go in the fridge. And then out front, the 2 2s. 2 times 2 is 4. And the square root of 2. All right. One thing you can always check, you can double check your answers. Type in the square root of 32 in your calculator, see what you get as a decimal, and then type in the answer that you got, 4 times the square root of 2. It should equal the same decimal because I'm not really changing the value of the problem, I'm just simplifying it. The same way you would take 5/10, you would change to half. If you divide 5 divided by 10 or 1 divided by 2 in half, they both equal 0.5. So they equal the same thing, they're just simplified. All right, let's try number 2. So 54, let's see, that's 2 and 27. 27 is 3 and 9. And then 9 is 3 and 3. And I've hit all primes. All right, so we look for pairs. I have a pair of 3s that comes out. Notice when I'm getting my pairs, I cross them off. That way I know I've already used them. And then I see I have a single 2 and a single 3. They're leftovers, right? They don't have anyone to partner up with. So the 2 and the 3 come together. 2 times 3 is 6. And we're done. All right, taking a look at number 3. So again, we will do our factor tree. I know that is 2 and 112. And that is 2 and 56. And that is going to be 2 and 28. I like 2s in case you couldn't tell. 2 and 14. 2 and 7. And then I am down to all primes. So none of those numbers will break down any further. All right, so once you've done your factor tree, we want to look for pairs. Pair of 2s, they come out as a single 2. I see another pair of 2s, that comes out. And then these are leftovers, they don't have a partner. So the leftovers, 2 and 7, 2 times 7 is 14. Put those together, 2 times 2 is 4. And I get radical 14. And I am done. Hopefully this is making sense to you. If not, take a break back and watch some more. All right, moving forward. Now notice this time there's a number out front. That's like the date we're going on, right? I'm going to have the two of us make a couple, and then like this 3 right here, that's like the double date we're going on. That's somebody we're meeting up with. They're already at the restaurant. So for right now, we're going to kind of ignore him, and then we'll kind of join him back in at the end. So let's worry about the radical first. So let's break that down. 2 and 24. 2 and 12. Oops. 2 and 6. And that's 2 and 3. All right, so looking for pairs. Again, this guy is already at the restaurant. I'm ignoring him for right now. He's not even part of my world. So pairs, I have pair of 2s that comes out as a 2. I see another pair of 2s that comes out. I have a leftover 3. Leftovers go in the fridge, so inside. And then remember this guy? He's already at the restaurant, already there, already outside. So he's one of my outside numbers. So now I have 3 times 2 is 6, times 2 is 12, and radical 3. Ta-da! Isn't this fun? All right, number 5. So again, I'm going to worry about the radical. I'm going to ignore that -5 up front. He's already outside. I'm not worried about him. Let's try to clean up the inside people. So I know that is 2 and 54. 54 will break down to 2 and 27. 27 is 3 times 9. And then 9 is 3 times 3. All right, looking for pairs. I see a pair of 2s that comes out. I see a pair of 3s that comes out. I see a leftover, leftovers in the fridge. And this guy was already outside, so bring him down. So -5 times 2 is -10, times 3 is -30, and I have a radical 3. And we're done. All right, number 6, 600. Let's see, that's 2 and 300. That's 2 and 150. Let's see, I know that one is 15 and 10. 15 is 3 and 5. And 10 is 2 and 5. All right, so just making sure every number is broken down as far as it can be. And then we're only looking at the numbers we circled, looking for pairs. I can see a pair of 2s there. That comes out. I have a pair of 5s. That comes out. And then I have a leftover 3 and a leftover 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And I had this number on the outside. Just going to come down with me. So then -4 times 2 is -8, times 5 is -40, and I have radical 6. And we're done. At any point as you're working through these, if you find yourself not sure, what I would recommend is pause the video, try the problem on your own first, and then play it and see if you end up with the same thing I got. Okay, and also I would take notes. So if you're working through this video right now and you don't have anything in front of you, no paper, no pencil, no nothing, you're going to struggle. Students have definitely told me that they do a lot better if they take notes as we go. A lot of people print off the blank ones and then they fill them in just like you would if you were in class with me. And then other students just write it on a piece of paper if they don't have a printer. But I highly recommend writing stuff down, okay? Don't just watch this video and assume you're going to remember it. Studies have proven that you learn things and remember them better by writing them down. All right, so let's jump into number 7. All right, so dealing with my radical, I'm ignoring that number out in front. So let's see, I know that's 2 and 27. And then that's 3 and 9. And then that's 3 and 3. All right, looking for my pairs. A pair of 3s, that comes out as a 3. And that's only pair, right? I have a leftover 2 and a leftover 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Leftovers go in the fridge. And then I have the 1/3 out in front. And don't panic, if it's a fraction, it's just a number. 1/3 times 3 is 1, and radical 6. If you want to be a lazy mathematician, you can just write radical 6, because 1 times radical 6 is still just radical 6. All right, number 8, 125. Let's see, that's 5 and, oops, sorry about that. That would be 5 and 25. All right, 5 is prime, and then that becomes 5 and 5. So looking for my pairs, I have a pair of 5s that come out. I have a leftover 5, leftovers in the fridge, bringing down the -2/5. And then -2/5 times 5 is -2, and I have a radical 5. Ta-da! You got to admit this is fun. I like these. All right, last one for today, guys. So 252. Let's see. My mental math is a little shaky this morning. So 252 divided by 2 is 126. And then that divided by 2 would be 63. 63 I know is 9 times 7. 7 is prime. And then 9 is 3 and 3. All right, having my list of primes, looking for pairs. I see a pair of 3s. I see a pair of 2s. I see a leftover 7, leftovers in the fridge. Bring down the outside number. And then we're just going to multiply. 3 halves times 3 times 2 equals 9. And we have a radical 7. All right, and there we have it. That is simplifying radicals. So if you need extra help, you can rewatch the video. You can text me, email me, message me, join up a video chat, whatever you guys need. And I am happy to help you guys. All you have to do is ask, okay? All right, so my suggestion from here is I would work through the homework problems to make sure you understand this. If you're feeling good, check your answers because all that's posted. Then you can go ahead and take the quizzes. All right, remember you have to earn at least a 75% on the quizzes in order to consider that passed. All right, so if you have questions, reach out. Otherwise, let's practice, take the quizzes, and then you can move on to the second video for this week. All right, so thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.